Hey guys, welcome back. It's your good buddy Radar with another episode of Tennis Ace. Well, a lot happened in the last part, didn't it? He got an earful from Saya, and then got an eyeful of Shochi, and then he comes out to find out he has to play a match against Keisuke. So yeah, a good day for him. So, that being said, we're going to continue on from where we left off. So here we are. We're about to start the match. Huzzah! I throw the ball into the air, moving my body as quickly as I can with a whip-like motion to hit the ball at the peak of the toss. It goes past the net and hits close to the line. A powerful flat serve that goes wide. The ball bounces quickly and swiftly, sliding past Keikun's reach. Or at least it should have. With a swift motion, he dashes to the ball and returns it, though not perfectly. The ball doesn't go very deep, and doesn't have much power behind it. If it's like this, I can handle it easily. I reach the ball and counter it, putting as much force as I possibly can, without sending it flying out of the court. The ball goes to the opposite side of the court as Keikun is standing in right now, hitting the ground and bouncing away before he even starts running again. 15 love. Keikun looks down at the skid mark left on the floor by the ball, whistling in admiration. Seeing his surprise definitely makes me smile a little. The freshmen all start talking loudly and excitedly after seeing the last rally. Shut up! Saya easily solves that problem by using her usual sunny disposition. The only problem is she almost gave me a heart attack. Looking over at Keikun, I notice him standing completely frozen, eyes wide as he stares at Saya. She quickly notices his gaze and laughs nervously. Please, continue! Well, at least she regains her composure quite fast. We both walk back to our positions. Keikun taking just a bit longer to compose himself again. After knowing us for a full year, I'm surprised he's not used to Saya's personality yet. I take a moment to bask in this atmosphere. Even if I hesitated to be here right now, I have to admit that being on the court is the best feeling ever. Once more, I shoot a flat shot, aiming for the lines. Keikun dashes to the ball, and, although he reaches it, returns the ball into the net. 30 love. Keikun stares at me with a troubled look on his face. I guess he just isn't used to a truly fast serve. There aren't many players with a lot of raw power around for him to practice against, so it's no surprise he's still not used to playing against me. Guess that's one benefit to me not playing against him often. I repeat the same strategy once more. A flat ball with lots of power is what I excel at. Although he gets to the ball with relative ease, he misjudges the timing. His return ends up going too long and flies out of the court by quite a bit. Out 40 love. I can't keep myself from grinning like an idiot. I just might be a little bit of a sadist because crushing an opponent always feels so satisfying. I never get sick of it. Keikun probably thought he could come up with some strategy to break my serve and asked me to serve first so he could attack and mess with my head. He probably thought that by breaking my serve, he'd also break my concentration. Instead, it seems the spell has been turned against its user. Game Carmichael. Game count 3-0. Carmichael leads. The small crowd that gathered around our court starts to cheer loudly once more. I just wish these guys would shut up. This is way too distracting. As for Keikun, he seemed largely out of it since the end of the first game. I guess the shock of seeing his strategy failing so catastrophically has broken his concentration. He's completely abandoned his tactics and fine skills in favor of a brute force approach. Tennis is a sport where your mind is just as important as your body. If you start thinking too much about losing, your fear will cause your body to panic. Your body won't move as it normally does, and, without noticing, your play becomes affected. Because of that, I managed to easily break through his serve game. And that created a downward spiral. The more he's dominated, the more he fears an eventual defeat, causing his play to worsen further and making him feel even more dominated. It's a feedback loop that you can't escape from unless you notice that you're in it in the first place. And even then, it's no small feat. Professional players struggle with this type of thing. For a high school student, this is a monumental beast all its own. I'm usually in favor of breast breaks, but right now I wish we could play the whole match without stopping. Not because I'd like to, but because I don't want Keisuke to have time to calm down. It might be a shitty thing to say, but I hope he stays in this slump all the way to the end of the match. Time? Well, no point in dwelling in it. I'll just get back to the court and try to get this match done as fast as I can. This is exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen. His eyes seem much more focused right now. I guess this small break gave him enough time to get himself back together. I really can't afford to let my guard down. Keisuke tosses the ball high into the air, making contact with it just as it begins to drop again. There's no doubt about it that his serve has gone back to normal. I guess there's no more weakness for me to exploit. The good things in life are always short-lived, after all. The ball soars over the net, making contact with the ground deep onto the court. I managed to reach the ball and send it back, but I lost my balance for a second and got a late start on my subsequent dash. Just as I take a couple of steps towards the center of the court, Keikun immediately sends a powerful shot to the side I had been on. Not having had enough time to regain my balance, attempting to change direction again makes me trip. The ball slides through the floor, bouncing again on a sideways arch. I somehow managed to reach his shot, but because it stays too close to the ground, I can't make a full swing and end up lacking power. This is likely what he was going for. It seems Keikun has decided to attack my counter, which is admittedly a rather annoying strategy. Right after I return the ball to the other side of the court, he again shoots it to the other side of the court to make me run. If this were a 3 or even a full set match, I would be seriously worried about my stamina. In a flash, Keikun has identified the shots I most struggle with against. In a flash, Keikun has identified the shots I most struggle against and the ones I most want to hit. By doing that, he is aggressively looking to keep his serve by chipping away at me until he can go for a winner. This style of tennis that emphasizes a wide variation of shots and a delicate touch is his specialty. It's thanks to this that Keikun managed to overcome his average constitution, becoming a well-known player in our region. Still, he has yet to make a breakthrough, and when it comes to the national competitions. Since I can't fall into a comfortable pace, I end up not being able to hit the ball as I want to, and, as such, can't put away a winner. I continue to struggle with the rally until Keisuke eventually runs me out of the point. Keisuke continues to use the same strategy for the remainder of the game. I'm only able to score a single point before he wins. We promptly start the 5th game. This time, I have to try and hit my best possible serve to keep myself on the lead during my service game. While I fully expect myself to have the advantage of my serve, I still don't want to be caught up on a long rally against him. I don't have that much stamina. I go for a strong, flat serve to the center of the court. Although it's high risk, the ball makes it right to the edge of the court, painting the line. Despite that, Keikun reaches it, returning a deep ball with tons of topspin. Using the advantage given to me by my serve game, I quickly return a strong flat shot to the other side of the court. The speed of the shot doesn't give him much time to ready his next swing. If he doesn't have much time to prepare, he can't send a very precise shot. He ends up lightly tapping it to my side of the court. I rush over to it and strike with everything I have, putting away an easy winner. 15 love. Keikun looks somewhat angry. I see him muttering something to himself before he gets back into position. This is the main reason I avoided playing against him for so long. Keikun falls into the category of tactical players. He is constantly running simulations and thinking up different strategies to deal with any problems he might face. Ordinarily, when faced with a huge hurdle, a player like myself would attempt to find an answer through trial and error. A player like Keisuke, though, is constantly analyzing the shifts in pattern. Because of that, he can shift into an answer almost instantly. I'm forced to keep changing up shots far too often in an attempt to throw him off. In the end, I'm not truly forcing my way through. I'm just taking a detour that forces me to spend extra energy. I just hate having to deal with any wall that my power can't break through. Because I am forced to constantly think and look for alternatives, the strain of having to sustain such a degree of concentration while keeping up my usual high-paced game makes me get tired faster than usual. Still, I can't just shoot blindly, otherwise he will eventually find a way to shut me out. I decide to change up my serves a little bit by adding a few spin shots to my serves, which are usually all flat anyway. I can throw them off for a while. I try putting as much power as I can into the spin serve, though the ball is significantly slower than before. Crap, I'm not too good at using spin. Because of the way a player grips his racket and the hand he uses to hold it, the ball tends to naturally spin to one direction. That's one of the reasons left-handed players are favored in the game, since there aren't many of them and players tend to have already ingrained their reactions to different shots. Any difference, no matter how small, can throw them off. Most players capitalize on this natural spin, hitting spin shots that make the ball slide in that direction. Since hitting a spin towards the opposite direction makes it so the ball doesn't slide too much to the side, it tends to not be favored. But because it isn't as favored, it becomes unexpected, and I use this to catch Keikun by surprise. He reads my serve and rushes into a position to return, but because the ball doesn't escape as far to the side as he expects it, he ends up hitting the ball too close to the grip of the racket. His return is shallow, leaving me an opportunity to attack. 30 love. Keikun looks just about ready to throw his racket on the floor. He's gripping it so tight that his hands are shaking. I'm not exactly happy to see him like this, but I decide to bury those feelings for now. He is my friend, but when we're on the court, I can't really show sympathy. This time I go with a wide slice. Once again, since I'm serving the ball to a direction opposite of its spin, instead of sliding away from the court, it angles itself back in. The awkward angle of the shot causes Keikun to hit another weak return, which I easily put away. 40 love. The freshmen all chat excitedly while they watch the match. There are so many voices at the same time that I can barely even make out what they're saying. Well, not that I'm trying to anyway. Keikun seems like he can't even notice them, not reacting at all to their voices. That guy's concentration is on a whole other level, and that's already scary enough by itself. I ready myself for another serve. I take advantage of the indecision my past two serves created and hit a strong topspin shot wide. Keikun is caught by surprise. Having tried to anticipate my serve, he ran towards the center but had to double back immediately. Because he can't reach the ball, I score a service ace to take the game. The freshmen erupt in cheers before being reprimanded by the other club members. Game Carmichael. Game count 4-1. Carmichael leads. We take another break. I slide into my seat to rest for a bit. When I glance over at Keikun, he has an incredibly scary look on his face. He might look like the meek, silent type, but he really gets fired up when it comes to tennis, huh? Time! We both get up from our chairs at the same time. If I want to end this match as soon as possible, then my goal should be to break his serve. I've had enough time to get used to his tricky style. Not only that, he feels like he's slipping. He's getting impatient, and that shows. I should use that to my advantage to break his serve. We both get to our positions. Keikun sends the ball high before striking it, hitting a strong, flat serve to the center of the court. I was already expecting him to do something like that. People tend to put too much force on the shot when they're angry, whilst ignoring spin and placement. Having gotten to the ball a lot earlier, I have ample time to prepare, hitting my strongest shots back at him. The ball hits the ground and bounces away from his reach, scoring me a return ace. It seems that with each passing moment, Keikun becomes more and more agitated. He should really try to calm down. Playing like this is only going to drag him down further. Love 15. Well, it can't be helped. If he's not trying to help himself, there isn't anything I can do to help him. And to be honest, I feel that he'd fly off the rails if I tried. Keikun takes a while to get into position. He starts tying his shoes repeatedly, probably trying to calm himself down. Well, he definitely looks to have calmed down a bit. He serves the ball again, shooting a slice serve towards the center. If it weren't for the spin on the ball, that would practically be a body shot. As soon as the ball gets close, I sidestep it and hit an angle shot to the side of the court. The ball practically paints the line, bouncing very high from all the topspin I put on it. I really have to be more careful with my spin shots. They're barely going in right now. I might actually make a mistake if I keep going like this. Keikun reaches for it and effortlessly hits it back at me with another slice, going right at the center of the court. I hit it back with as much power as I can whilst aiming cross-court, but can't get a good contact with the ball and it ends up hitting the upper part of the net. We are both taken by surprise. The ball topples down on Keikun's side of the court. He dashes over to the net in an attempt to reach it, but ends up being too late. Love 30. Sorry about that. I apologized as the proper thing to do. It's fine. He nearly spits those words out. That's how angry he is right now. I'm sure he doesn't blame me for it, but it's hard to keep your feelings in check when you're under pressure. Keikun serves a strong flat, this time aiming wide. I dash towards the ball and hit it back, but since I can't get to a good position, the ball ends up being too weak. Keikun reaches it and puts it away in an instant. 15-30. My return was pretty terrible, so there wasn't anything I could do. Keisuke might not look like it, but he's certainly a high-level player. If I give him any openings, he'll certainly go for them in an instant. Keikun serves once again. This time, I have a much easier time reaching it. I return an angled shot that hits the ground before the service line and bounces away from the court. Keikun is caught by surprise and has to rush to the ball. Right after striking, he runs up to the net, probably trying to restrict the angle on my return, but I'm one step ahead of him. Right as he reaches the net, I lob the ball high over his head. He immediately starts running back, and I don't doubt for a second that he will reach. He manages to hit the ball at the last second, barely putting any power to it as the ball bounces a few centimeters away from the net. I reach it before its first bounce, and right after it goes high again, I hit it with a drop shot. Since I dropped the ball while being so close to the net, there is barely any power left in it. Keikun doesn't even make it to the service line before it double bounces. The first years erupt in cheers, and I'm pretty sure some of the second and third years joined them in on it. I said shut up! Well, she certainly has a way of handling the crowd. That way is fear. 15-40. Seems that the pressure is starting to get to him. His face is a completely open book. No matter how he looks at it, I've been dominating him on his service game, and he can't do a thing about it. Right now, he would have to score twice in a row just to get us to deuce. I definitely hold that advantage here. He serves the ball again, but just like his first serve of the game, he was so anxious to finish things fast that he got predictable. I easily anticipate it and put the ball away with a return ace. Game Carmichael. Game count 5-1. Carmichael leads. As if I had As if he had lost all that drive that fueled him so far, Keisuke's shoulder sags. I don't blame him for being discouraged, but right now he looks as if he's already been defeated. What's happened to try your best until the end? What's the point of continuing to play when you've already given up? Ugh, starting to get angry because of his attitude. I'll just finish this soon so we can both stop this miserable match. Game, set, and match won by Carmichael. Count 6-1. Saya has barely finished announcing the score, and Keisuke has already walked out of the court, stuffing his racket back into his bag and slipping away with it. Saya doesn't miss a beat, getting down from her seat and walking after him in a rush. Tennis players really have glass hearts sometimes. A little crowd of freshmen gathers around me, sharing me with praise and admiration, and using this as an opportunity to ask for tips. I make no effort to listen, walking towards the locker room. I just want to rest. I don't care. And right there, standing in front of the door, is Shiochi. Man, you're heartless. Don't you know how to go easy on people? It's good to do every once in a while. Sure, then I'd have him getting mad at me for underestimating him. He shrugs. The cheering over here was so loud that we could hear it from our side of the building. Coach asked me to come over and see what the fuss was about. Although I ended up sticking around to watch you play. You sure are carefree with your duties, huh? I enjoy watching you play. Why are you so surprised? I have to ask. Why didn't you tell me you'd be playing against Urashihara? Saya didn't tell me. She decided to keep it a secret until the last minute because I was, as she says it, a flight risk. Sounds about right. Hey! Sorry, but I think she's right. I imagine you'd have gone home the first chance you got if you knew about this. After all, you've been talking about how annoying it is to play against Urashihara since you first watched him practice. That's only partly true. Oh, really? What part of what I said was wrong? Shut up. Heh. As easy to rile up as usual. Oh, right. I nearly forgot. Here. Shoshi hands me a can. I can see beads of condensation rolling down from it. It must really be cold. I picked up an energy drink for you. Figured you'd want one after that match. I know orange is your favorite, so I picked up that one. Oh, thanks. You're a real lifesaver. I immediately start drinking it down without a care in the world. In just a few seconds, the entire can has already been emptied. Wow, were you really that thirsty? You have no idea. Without a warning, Shioshi puts a hand on my head and begins to casually pet me. I don't even notice that he's doing that until... Oh. I don't even notice that what he's doing until he's already started. At which point I'm so shocked by his complete lack of self-consciousness about the whole thing. If there's one thing that needs to be said about him, it's that he's a very touchy-feely kind of guy. Myself, Saya, his sister, and even Keisuke, on the rare occasion they're not going at each other's throats, have already been made victims to this. It wouldn't be half bad if he kept these things to private places either, but somehow he always tries to pull them off in public. As soon as I snap back to reality, I slap his hand away from my head, just as he had begun tugging my ears. Ah, no fun. Geez, you'd figure I killed his pet from the way he just reacted. It's not even like I mind it in the first place, I just don't like when he pulls this sort of stunt in public. Well, what can you do? For some reason, he seems to find my rejection funny. I don't like being messed with in public, you know that. Sorry. I'll try to refrain from doing it again. That's a lie. By the way, what did you think of Urashihara? This was his first time you played against him since the Prefecturals tournament last year, wasn't it? I turn around to look for Keikun, but can't seem to find him. I don't know. He's a good player, I'll give him that, but I don't think he's ready for a major competition just yet. He'd probably get destroyed by the higher-ranking players. Didn't he lose on the first round at last year's national tournament? Yeah, that's exactly what I mean by it. I suppose you're right. I kind of feel bad about him, though. What Shoshi is talking about is last year's All Japan Junior Tournament, the most important tournament in Japan for tennis players under the age of 18. Keisuke managed to qualify for it last year. Unfortunately for him, though, he got matched up against the number 4 player on the first round and lost without taking a single set. Competition for the event is brutal. I myself got all the way to the finals but lost to Takagi Tanabe, the number 1 player in the national rank. Urashihara sure got unlucky, huh? I nod, pursing my lips. This sort of thing happens every now and then. If you want to be safe and have an easier time on the first rounds, you need to be a seeded player. Keikun is gonna have to try and get a seed ranking this year. That's pretty much the only thing he can do. What would he need to do to become seeded? Considering his current rank, he'd have to win at the Saitama Prefecture Tournament and then place in the top 4 for the Kanto Tournament. And since we know for a fact that he's not going to win the Prefectural, where should he finish on the regional to get a seed? Second place. Shoshi whistles in admiration. Urashihara is pretty much screwed, huh? Just goes to show being number 2 in Saitama doesn't really mean much. The competition here is pretty light compared to the other areas of the country. Yeah, that's true. Right now, Tokyo and Hokkaido have the highest concentration of high-ranked players. Saitama is somewhere in the lower end of the rankings. You're probably the only reason that Saitama isn't dead last. I wouldn't go that far. I honestly don't think the level of the players in our area has fallen. I think the competition has just improved a lot. What do you mean? I mean that the current generation is probably much stronger than the last ones. Back when I was still a freshman in high school, I'd routinely beat juniors and seniors. It was against the other freshmen that I struggled. Huh. I never really thought of it like that. Kinda sucks when you're trying to go pro and have a hard time standing out. Not that you're having a problem like that, of course. You already stand out plenty. Ah, yes. Shoshi is one of the few people I've told of my desire to go pro. So far, I've only told my family, my coach, and a few close friends. Of course, most of the people involved in the tennis scene already expect me to go pro, so it's not like there's much of a difference. But even at the risk of sounding superstitious, I'm afraid that if I tell many people, I'll end up jinxing it. What about you? Have you decided when you're going to go pro yet? I already told you, I'm not. Have I ever mentioned that that's a stupid idea? Yes, many times. Too many, in fact. Ugh, he's too stubborn. Shoshi is one of the best volleyball players in the country, and yet he refuses to consider the possibility of becoming a professional player. It's just so much wasted potential. I can already tell what you're thinking, so I'll just stop you right there. I'm not in the mood to have another discussion on me becoming a professional. Why not? Instead, I'd rather talk about something a little more important. Oh, like what? He really knows how to rope me into changing the subject of the conversation. Use my curiosity against me. Your progress, or lack thereof. I honestly don't see much improvement at all from last year. What happened to you? I was thinking the same thing. I threw the now empty can of sports drink into the nearby trash, where it falls inside with a satisfying clink. I know I ask this a lot, but are you okay? Are you sure you're not going through any trouble? I'm fine, big guy. I guess I'm just not putting in enough work, that's all. I am honestly not as convinced of the truth of my words as I might sound. Just thinking about some of the guys I'll have to face again this year almost invokes a feeling of dread. Well, hopefully this year you'll be able to turn things around. Tanabe isn't invincible. I'm sure you can beat him if you try hard enough. I'm not so sure of that either. Yeah, I suppose. How about we cut this conversation here, though? I'd rather not think about all this stuff right now. Sure thing. In that case, how about we get into the locker room and at least towel yourself off? No offense, but you're smelling kinda ripe. He says that with the most innocent smile in the world, even though he was definitely taking a jab at me to tease me. Wow, thanks for the delicacy on the matter. Alright, I'll rephrase that. Dude, you fucking stink. Don't you ever fucking shower? Ugh. Never mind. Shoshi stands there grinning like an idiot, his tail wagging left and right. I have to give him props for being able to be so cheery about everything. Alright, guys. That is going to be it for now. That was an interesting match between me and Keisuke. So if you enjoyed this episode, have any comments, suggestions, whatever, you be sure to let me know. And, well, this has been Radar. Y'all be good, stay safe, and I will be seeing you. Bye, guys.